Hey everyone, and welcome. Look, when water damage hits your home, it just feels like total chaos, right? It's overwhelming. But you know what? There's actually a clear, methodical process to make it all right again. So today, we're going to demystify the whole thing and turn that chaos into a simple, step-by-step guide for getting your house and your life back to normal. All right, let's get into it. So let's kick things off with a question. If I asked you to name the single most destructive force that could be lurking in your house, what would you say? Fire, maybe? Or gale force winds from a bad storm? Well, the real answer is often a lot quieter. And it's probably not what you think. Yep, it's water. That's the one. It is the most common and, frankly, often the most destructive force your home can face. It's the silent invader that can sneak in and wreak havoc on your home structure, your health, your peace of mind, sometimes before you even realize what's happening. So, to really get a handle on how to fight this thing, we've got to understand where it even comes from. And trust me, it's not always some huge, dramatic flood you see on the news. A lot of the time, the trouble starts with something way smaller and a whole lot more common. And what's wild when you look at this list is just how many different ways water can get in. I mean, you've got your big dramatic events, like a pipe bursting and just gushing water everywhere. But then you've got the slow, sneaky culprits, a sump pump that quietly fails in the basement, a sewer line that backs up after a big storm, or even those ice dams on the roof that are secretly funneling water right into your walls. It can literally come from anywhere. And this isn't a one-size-fits-all problem. Where you live really, really matters. Take a place like Arlington Heights, Illinois, for example. The soil there is this heavy clay that swells up when it gets wet, and it can literally push water right through the foundation. You combine that with an older storm sewer system, and suddenly you've got a perfect recipe for chronic basement flooding. So, how do you even spot this invasion? Well, your house will tell you. It leaves clues. You might start seeing your hardwood floors kind of warping or buckling up, or maybe the baseboards look a little puffy and swollen. You might even see paint peeling. And that musty, damp smell in the basement, that is a huge red flag. That's not just a damp basement smell. It's the smell of a problem that's been festering for a while. Okay, so once that water gets in, a clock starts ticking loudly. And look, this is not something you can just put on the to-do list for the weekend. Those first 48 hours are absolutely 100% critical. What you do or don't do in that tiny window basically decides how this whole story ends. So I want you to burn this number into your brain, 48. That's it, 48 hours. That is the critical window you have before a whole new secondary problem starts to take root in your home. And this new problem, it can be even more dangerous than the water itself. And this timeline right here, man, it shows you just how fast everything goes downhill. Within just a few hours, drywall starts acting like a sponge, just wicking that moisture straight up the walls. Fast forward a single day, and your beautiful hardwood floors can be totally ruined. And then you hit that 48-hour mark, and that's when mold starts to grow. It's not a maybe, it's happening, creating a whole new health hazard in your home. All right, so we've established the problem is fast and it's destructive. The good news? The solution is the complete opposite. It's methodical, it's scientific. The pros break the entire recovery process down into this clear 3-phase playbook. It's designed to bring order back from all that chaos, and we're going to walk through it right now. And here it is, the core of the process. Phase 1 is emergency mitigation. Think of this like the first responders showing up. You stop the leak, you pump out all the standing water, and you get rid of anything that's just too soaked to be saved. Phase 2 is structural drying. This is where the heavy-duty equipment comes in to pull all that hidden moisture out of the very bones of the house. And finally, full restoration. That's the rebuilding phase, putting it all back together so it's like it never happened. Now, you should know, this whole process, it isn't just guesswork. This isn't a couple of guys showing up with fans. Real professional water restoration is a science, and it's all governed by some pretty rigorous industry-wide standards to make sure the job gets done right and, more importantly, safely. So here's the key thing you need to know. The pros, the real certified pros, they follow a guide called the IICRC S500 standard. This thing is basically the Bible for water restoration. It spells out everything: how to assess the damage correctly, the right procedures for drying, and all the safety protocols. It's why just calling any handyman isn't the answer. You need someone who lives by this book. Okay, and this is a really important distinction to get straight in your head. Mitigation versus restoration. They sound similar, but they're two different things. Think of it like this. Mitigation is the emergency room. It's all about stopping the bleeding immediately to prevent things from getting worse. Restoration, on the other hand, is the reconstructive surgery that happens after the patient is stable. It's the repair and the rebuild. You can't have one without the other. And here's something that blows a lot of people's minds. Not all water is created equal. The source of the water completely changes the game. Category 1, that's clean water, say from a broken water supply line. Annoying, but not hazardous. Category 2 is what we call gray water. Think overflow from a washing machine. It's got contaminants in it. And then there's Category 3, black water. This is the really nasty stuff, like a sewage backup or floodwaters from a river. It is grossly contaminated and requires a whole different level of safety and cleanup. All right, so once the water is finally gone, the building is professionally certified as bone dry. Now comes the part everyone's been waiting for. This is the final phase, where we actually start putting your home and your life back together again. And this final stretch, it's all about execution and getting the details just right. It means working hand in hand with your insurance adjuster, using all the data, like thermal images and moisture readings, to get your claim approved without a hitch. Then it's about lining up the right crews, the drywallers, the painters, the flooring guys, and making sure every new material perfectly matches what was there before. And it all wraps up with a final walkthrough to make absolutely sure you are 100% happy. And this quote just says it all, doesn't it? At the end of the day, the whole point of this entire scientific, multi-phase process is actually pretty simple: to make it look like it never even happened. The goal is to return your home to exactly how it was before the loss, with absolutely no trace that the water was ever there. So we've seen that water damage isn't just a single event. It's a process, a rapid, escalating process. And the big takeaway here is that the response has to be a process too, one that's immediate, methodical, and professional. So that kind of leaves us all with one final question to think about. Is your recovery plan ready to go?